Yes.
Hi, Ian.
Hi, Barbara.
Welcome to Linear Rock.
Oh, thank you.
And thanks for taking the time to talk to me today.
Absolutely.
Okay, so 8424, we are ready for another celebration of the cult in Milano, July 27th at Carroponte. Very much looking forward to it. And let me tell you that the expectations are high here. It's 40 years of the cult on and off. But first off, will you have a fixed set list every night for this tour? Or do you like some way to be unpredictable, also including some deep cuts here and there and changing the sets?
Yeah, well, this set is very different than when we came through Taranto last year. The set is very different. So, we reset the cult. We reset the clock with Death Cult in last year in the UK. We came out of Under the Midnight Sun. And then the next natural conclusion, as we kind of go through each period, because the band is always working, we're always playing, we're always making music in or out the cult. So I saw the numbers come up, 8424, and it looked like to me something from Blade Runner, futurist, avant futurism. And that really stuck with me. And I thought this is really interesting because for me, it's not 40th anniversary. We're not celebrating anything.
Okay.
To be honest with you, this is really another moment for the cult. Sorry, I'm distracted and watching the football and Germany just scored.
Don't talk about the football to us.
Hey, what are you talking about? We'll see. Yeah, it's 8424. I mean, it goes deep. George Orwell, 1984, dystopia, gothic futurism, Ramel Z. I mean, the cult we've done so much. Yeah. We've done so much. There's so many dimensions to this band. So we can change. Depends what environment we're in. Like when we're opening for Metallica in Turin, in like 93, 94, we're a punk band. Yeah. We play in front of our own audience. We become way more erudite. We can dip into things like Edie, Brother Wolf, Sister Moon. We have many, many songs that are written acoustically but this time around, we're a four-piece. We're coming out as a band, as a four-piece. It's the same band from Death Cult, the same energy from Death Cult. So it's kind of, I don't know, we're in a renaissance. It's like we set the clock. Nobody told us we could do that. That's not in many bands' playbooks. They just keep going and then they get to greatest hits and then they get fat and old and die or whatever. For us, it's different. We're like Benjamin Button. I train Muay Thai, I fight, I spar. I put on a lot of weight one time when I had a hip surgery. It was very difficult, very depressing. And then I had to fight like a revenant to get back in the room. And I worked really hard. And it took a lot. And the band, we got Charlie Jones in the band. He's played with us for the last few years. He comes in Under the Midnight Sun, and all of a sudden it's a different band. It's rejuvenated. Yeah. And the passion, there's so much passion in the room for this band. With us, we look at each other with passion. It's not like, we're going to play the song again. Boring. There's passion. It's visceral. It's so visceral. So for us, this is ritual space. We're looking towards this is a ritual space. We're looking towards creating another moment. And Milan's in my top 10 favorite cities in the world. So
about what you were saying, of course it takes talent, to write so many hit songs as you did. And it's not for everyone, let me tell you. But is it easiest or toughest to live up to them or living with them? Because, you know, people expect all of those songs to be played forever. So is it more a blessing or a
Wow.
curse for you?
Well, some songs are an albatross, but they follow us around. Like for me, Firewoman, it's a weird song because it was, to me, it's like an albatross. You know, it was such a massive hit song. Everybody thinks that is it. That's the cult. But then you step around and go like, oh, Sanctuary. Oh, wait a minute. Honey from a Knife. That's interesting. That's kind of a little bit more dark. It's noir. A lot of, you talk about a hit. What is a hit? For me, this commercial terms of what culture says is a hit because it's commercially successful. But then there's songs that resonate because of the essence of the song. And I feel that we play in the light and in the dark as a group. Sometimes we're playing songs that are very popular. Sometimes we're playing songs that people don't know. But the visceral component, the emotional component, is the spirit that drives the band, the chemistry of these songs. It's a very different thing to go from, you know, from your everyday life, and then you step into this environment where you're in ritual space with 3 other guys, and just between the 3, you can create this emotional moment that thousands of people can experience. You know, so
the emotion, you know, is absolutely very intense. And let me tell you that you have a poetic approach to writing. And since you are also a painter, does the inspiration work the same way, expressing yourself with the pen or with the brush?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all the same thing, really. It kind of emanates from the same source. I mean, it's just expression. You give voice to the thoughts and feelings you have. You have through whatever medium I choose. I mean, so much of what I've worked on creatively has never been seen or heard. Okay. Because I think maybe coming up very young, like 19 in Southern Death Cult, and immediately being objectified. Immediately people looked at me and went, oh, I look a certain way, you know, because I had high cheekbones and I'm in Vogue magazine, and, you know, people put me on the front of pop magazines, and and I'm going, I didn't see myself at all. I dressed a certain way because I love clothes. I love that kind of Louisa Casati expression, individualism, you know. I didn't do it to get attention. I didn't like the attention. I never liked the attention, but I like to dress and be with people like myself. We go into dark nightclubs and we do what we do in dark nightclubs, you know. And that was my tribe, and it's still my tribe, you know. I've had many experiences in music that people don't even know. Well, I mean, consider the time of the Doors. That was another life. Or the work I did with Boris, and we're playing with Sun and Boris in a Masonic temple in Brooklyn. You know, there's so many incarnations. And the cult is one of these incarnations, but the cult is always changing. It's always changing because we adapt to our environment. As the environment changes, we change.
It's true, but you also have such a strong identity that goes, you know, with the guitars, the melodies, but you change lineups, you change genres, but your identity, your character was always there. Is that because of the bond between you and Billy?
I think there's the chemistry. There's a chemistry with Billy and I. You know, there's just that's the cult. The chemistry with Billy and Ian. Without Billy or Ian, there's no cult. Yeah. That's the chemistry. That's the chemistry since day one. Death Cult's a little bit different because Death Cult's a little bit more like Southern Death Cult. It's kind of an extension of Southern Death Cult, but the cult is Billy Duffy and Astbury, and that's the essence, the DNA of it. I mean, you can't continually. You can't. It's like a football team. Can you imagine playing with the same players you had 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
Okay.
Guys, this is not for everybody. This lifestyle is, I mean, if you know, once you get past the initial honeymoon period of, wow, I'm on the cover of a magazine, wow, I'm getting invited to parties, wow, I'm popular, and then very quickly I learned that that was all an illusion. It was delusional. That's not really about the truth, your individual truth, and expressing that. And the fact that people respond to that, I think, shows that there's a like-mindedness, or you're part of the collective conscious, you know. And I think this is why the cult resonates so much. And I think this is why the cult today in 2024, 25, 26, as we're going forward, is more relevant than it probably was maybe even in the 2010, you know.
Yeah.
We were refinding, we were going to hidden places and discovering this information. And then we start to build up again through this narrative of, you know, born into this, choice of weapon, hidden city, under the midnight sun, and then we come back into death cult. And it's like, that's interesting. We took the hard road.
Yeah.
We took the hard way. So and here we are today.
And you formed in the magic 80s. What years, really magic years, were those? What do you miss the most about that atmosphere, and especially about, you know, the respect and importance of enjoying music back then, which was very, very different than now? Do you perceive it the same way?
I perceive it the way my perception is in this moment. Look, if we were to get a quantum scientist in here to talk about quantum physics and time and space, and you can't, it's so abstract. We can have a conversation about it, but in reality, we're in this moment, in this body. So I respond directly to this moment. So my greatest moment is breathing now. I'm so grateful to be able to be still. I've lost many, many friends. You know, we've lived through many, many different lives, many different relationships, and we'll continue to do so. But I feel far more connected to a Buddhist perspective of impermanence, transition, constant movement, constant change, constant evolution. But to have the experience of being in a certain place at a particular time is kismet. It's beyond comprehension. You cannot articulate in words. It's a feeling. It's visceral. It's guttural, right? Yeah. So, you know, these questions are kind of abstract. And I feel that now we're in this moment of, we all know that we are, the choices that we make as creative people, as individual people, will affect future generations. If you have children, you know, they will inherit the choices that we make today.
Yeah.
There's a responsibility. There's a point when you kind of transition out being young and kind of nihilistic and narcissistic and all that. And then you become much more concerned about the environment around you, people around you, how you can affect that in a positive way. And look, we're not Coldplay, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a carbon footprint. Everybody has a carbon footprint. Let's be honest about it. But we don't use it. We don't say, hey, we're not activists. We're not influencers. We are not. As soon as I see somebody put their name like, I am an artist, I am an activist, they're not. It's performative. It's a tag. It's a role. It's a mask. Right?
Yeah. I understand what you mean. Yeah.
I was christened with a certain name, but my name, I feel much more akin with animals. I feel like identify more with wild animals. When I'm in these environments with wild animals, I feel much more connected to that.
Yeah.
Than the culture that I kind of came out of. And I grew up in North America, so I'm not like a Brit guy. I grew up 40 miles from the New York State border. So as a teenager, I grew up with culture from the United States.
Yeah.
I saw Pink Floyd when I was 13. Before Wish You Were Here came out.
But you were born in Liverpool, if I'm correct. Or
I was born about 9 miles from Liverpool.
Yeah.
So, that's where I came into the world. But my mother was from Glasgow, so
yeah.
About 6 weeks old, I was whisked off to Glasgow.
Yeah.
So I kind of really grew up in Glasgow, a little bit in the Merseyside area, and then Canada.
And then and now you live in Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you are really a citizen of the world.
Yeah, many times. I mean, I spent time in India for a while. I resided in Pune in India when I was in the ashram. But the thing with Los Angeles is a melting pot of many different cultures. It's a place for outsiders. It's almost like a sanctuary for outsiders. There's people from everywhere in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And Los Angeles is the seat of esoteria in the West. It's if you think of the esoteric wisdom that's come out of Los Angeles, whether it's Christopher Isherwood, who wrote I Am a Camera that became Cabaret, but he also translated the Bhagavad Gita from Sanskrit to English. Very important. One of the oldest ashrams in America, if not the oldest ashram in America, is about a mile from my house.
Yeah.
The oldest Sikh temple in America is literally half a mile from my house. A Kadampa Buddhist temple is literally 500 meters from my house.
Wow.
The Manly P. Hall's PRS Society, they're kind of an esoteric group. They have a library that is close to my house. There is everything from there's a Japanese Zen Buddhist temple down the street. There's an Anglican, there's Catholic, there's synagogues. I mean, Muslims. There's we have so much here and everybody is interwoven. Los Angeles is still a very young city, and then there's the indigenous. We have Incas, Mayans, indigenous people from all over the Americas gathered in Los Angeles. So it's
I know you have a big passion for Native Americans, which it's a theme that which returns in your albums quite often. So,
well, these are archetypal themes. They exist in many cultures, even Western occult culture. These are archetypes. They're it's direct relationship to the natural environment, not so much the technological environment, but there's also an aspect of technological environment which is it's all connected to source. If we follow the Big Bang theory, then we know that from that we are still the particles from that initial explosion are still resonating. If we know about quantum physics, we know that that science doesn't know everything. So there's a profoundness to living, but we tend to put our heads in the sand and live very small lives in our heads. We live in our heads. We live in our phones. It's just junk. Yeah. You waste your life. But one thing about live music is it's in the moment. You can't take that feeling and keep it in a jar forever. It's like a perfume. You smell it and it's gone. Or you see an animal in the wild, like you see a mountain lion. Like we have mountain lions in Los Angeles. You see a mountain lion in the wild and it's gone. We have coyotes in our neighborhood. They're always outside my house. A pack of coyotes. You see them and then they're gone. And we have an owl that's always flying around our house, and Los Angeles, rattlesnakes, and it's pretty wild. Fires. It's quite epic.
Yeah.
The freeways, the mountains, the ocean, the desert. The desert is epic. Yeah. Epic.
What?
Yeah, Death Valley is the hottest place on earth.
You are
quite
a very
funny.
spiritual kind of guy.
No, I'm just a very open kind of guy.
Okay.
You know, they're just open. I'm open to receiving information.
In what ways rock and roll should never become a profession? And
When you call it rock and roll,
in which ways it should, from your point of view, since you had such a long career?
well, first of all, it's a privilege to be able to do this with my life. I'm compelled to do it. I do it if nobody turned up, I'd still be doing something. Well, I do stuff, like I said before, you know, constantly working on things. But the term rock and roll, I mean, it's basically about sex. You know, that's what it means. It's a so the sensuality, intimacy. I think when you exploit that very sacred human experience and you try to monetize it, commercialize it, put it in a package, sell it to someone, this is not good. This is cancer.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and I'm always conscious of, we're in a commercial industry, so I know that people have to pay for a ticket. So when I walk on that stage, I know that people have worked really, really hard to buy that ticket. And I'm not going to go and patronize them and phone it in. I'm going to pull every single ounce of my essence and put it into that performance, because I'm showing respect and honoring that we're all in this experience of life together. And that's what we're celebrating, truly, is this. Because look, I mean, there's 8.5 billion people on the planet, and in 100 years, all of those people will be dead. That is insane. It's beyond comprehension. It's beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
So we're plugged into that kind of energy. You know, that is the tributary that we have followed, and we will continue to follow. And many times we have been out of fashion with the popular culture, but we've been in tune with the harmonics of the natural waves of Gaia consciousness. And that is the choice. That is the choice. And it's been hard. At times it's been really hard. And sometimes you get up and you go like, why am I doing this? What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'd be much happier in the Himalayas, just watching. I've seen the sunset on Everest. How many people get to see that? Because once you see that, you can not unsee it. That is the voice of God. I mean, it's profound. But then you bring it back to the street. You know, I can do street. I've been on the street. I've lived on the street.
Yeah.
I know that culture of what it's like to come from blue collar, from nothing. Both my parents died of cancer. Working class people, worked really hard, died very young, so that I could have an opportunity. The most expensive thing in my house when I was a kid growing up was a set of encyclopedias. We didn't have a computer. My father spent hard-earned money to have encyclopedias so that my brother, my sister, and myself could better our knowledge. And when I started going through these encyclopedias, I would see these. They were like, you know, they were called World of Knowledge. Yeah. And I remember going through them and looking at these pictures and being profound, you know, images of Tibet, Native Americans, tigers, you know, ancient Rome. I mean, just, you know, Maasai's in Africa. And then this world kind of opened to me. And, you know, I truly believe the future for us, if we want to get it right, it's going to be psychedelic. We're going to go back to the original tree of knowledge, which is psychedelics. Let's dip into, you know, if any of your listeners, your readers, Terence McKenna, please go and look at his work, what he's sharing with us, his experience of being in the Amazonian jungle. Or you don't have to do anything. But the spirit of being creative for me is just going with your heart and being authentic. And I don't police myself. I mean, I make massive mistakes in my life. I make terrible mistakes. I've been a barbarian. Oh, fuck yeah. I've been a total barbarian in my life. And then I've been incredibly empathetic. And as I get older, I'm much more, I follow Buddhist traditions and various Buddhist traditions, and I practice martial arts. Very important in my life. That's a very core value in my life.
Okay.
I feel very close to that.
Very last thing, or they're gonna kill me. Okay, so
they're not going to kill you. They're not going to kill you. Nobody's going to kill you.
Very last one. You said you make mistakes, but a mistake you did not make was the collaboration with the Doors that you already mentioned, Riders on the Storm, which was, let me tell you, fantastic. You seemed born, and possessed to embody that celebration. It seems that it has always been part of you. What memories do you have of that experience, and do you still feel that emotion? And in hindsight, do you have any regrets non-accepting the offer of the leading role in the Oliver Stone movie about the Doors?
Well, that was one of the most important. I didn't really feel like I'd arrived until I walked in the room with Ray Manzarek and Robbie Krieger. They became my mentors. They're my elders. They were my mentors. They're my heroes. They were my friends. They taught me so much. And they helped ground me in a way that was, it was like going to university. I never had an academic life outside of high school. So I learned so much with these guys, but we had profound experiences. I mean, Manzarek said he chose me because I represented the Celtic Buddhist archetype. Jim Morrison's family, he's a Celt from Scotland. So there's a certain genetic thing. But the baritone, people were saying, you should have got this guy, you should have got that guy. And I was like, the opportunity was there for many singers, but everybody was terrified. And I knew it was going to be hard. I knew that people would have knives out straight away. But Robbie and Ray looked at me with their eyes and said, if not now, then when?
Wow.
And if not you, then who?
Yeah.
Because we have to do this. And I felt honored to have the responsibility to be in that position. And I got slaughtered throughout the first 30 shows. I got slaughtered. The New York Times took a knife to us. It was horrible. But after the 30th show, it clicked. Something happened. And we became, in fact, the very first show that we did was billed as The Doors. John Densmore was supposed to play the show, but he got into kind of a, disagreement with Ray, and there was a lot of energy because it was a big deal. These guys are getting back together again. There was a lot of money being spoken about, for these guys, and it was a big deal, and it was the Doors' legacy, and it was happening. And I think he got afraid.
Oh wow!
So he, and with all respect, he hadn't played the drums for a very long time. Not like that. So Ray and Robbie were like, we're doing this. So the first show was billed as The Doors. Stuart Copeland came in for the first 5 shows. Ray didn't like him, kicked him out, brought in Robbie's drummer from his band. Phil Chen came in on bass. Phil Chen had played with everybody from Bob Marley to Jeff Beck. Incredible bass player, Jamaican Chinese guy. The band was incredible.
Yeah.
The band was incredible. But once we synergized with those songs, I had to learn 40 songs in 6 weeks. And then I tried different things. I tried, first of all, I used to have a stand with the lyrics, and I wanted to make it much more like an homage. And Ray looked at me and he said, stop that. Get rid of that. We want you. We want you to be you.
That's a big compliment.
We want you to be you. We don't want a guy trying to honor Jim. Jim's Jim. Jim is irreplaceable. People said, what is it like to step in Jim Morrison's shoes? I didn't step into Jim Morrison's shoes. I wasn't trying to step into Jim Morrison's shoes. That would be a massive mistake. Go and ask any actors that do Shakespeare or whatever. Eventually you have to be yourself. So that was the best choice for me. I just was myself. And I let the music dictate how I responded and how I performed. And what the insight that I got from being on the stage in that position was how much of what Jim channeled and pushed through was coming from Ray Manzarek.
Yeah.
Ray would determine the temperature of a song, the tempo of a song, the nuance of a song by just playing one note over and over. And he used to shake his head, and I knew his signals. And when he was in that space, I knew to stand very far away from the microphone. He was directing. There was nothing said. So it became this incredibly intuitive way of working. We were not in our heads at all. We were completely in our bodies. And you just had to work by, by picking up on the frequency. And then I took that, and I was very excited to take this to the cult and say, hey, Billy, check out what I've learned. It's like, we don't talk, we feel, we connect. And everybody was like, what are you talking about? And then eventually it started to come into the cult, started to bleed into the cult. And that's, I feel, is why we're here today, to be able to do what we are. Because I'm now the same age as Ray Manzarek was when I was in the Doors with him.
All right.
Which is crazy. It's crazy. I mean, when I joined the Doors, Robbie was 56, and I thought he was old.
Yeah.
But I only just turned 40, so... I mean, age is nothing. Look at Mick Jagger, for God's sakes. That guy's going to go for another 100 years. When's he going to stop?
And
crazy.
Don't forget about the movie. So you said no because it would have been too much?
No, I said no because I was drunk and I was young and I was arrogant. And to be honest with you, I didn't really respect film people. I mean, but the film people, I didn't want to be in a biopic. I mean, if somebody said to me, would you like to be in a, like, Scorsese, film about the Dalai Lama, something like that, I would have been, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. But getting asked to play another performer was like, I was 27 years old. It was like, I'm still kind of doing it myself. I don't really want to do a biopic of somebody else. And I was with Michael Hutchence, and we were out one night, we were like laughing. He said, oh yeah, they asked me too.
Okay.
But the difference for me was I actually went out with Oliver Stone. I went out with Oliver Stone and Danny Sugarman. Danny Sugarman asked me to come and meet Oliver. I didn't realize it was for casting. I thought it was just hanging out with Oliver Stone, who just made Platoon, and I was a big fan. We spoke about Native American culture all night long. Yeah. And then we crashed Danny Sugarman's BMW. It was crazy. But Oliver was very cool. And I think Val Kilmer did, Val Kilmer was a great choice because he was an actor. So it was a dramatic portrayal of the Doors, but it's not.
Yeah.
As Ray said, Jim wasn't on acid every day. He wasn't like, hey guys. He wasn't that guy. He was a regular guy with regular feelings, and he was just incredibly gifted and beautiful and all the rest of it.
Yeah, of course, that was Hollywood. They had to
Hollywood, of course,
to push it. So,
well, yeah, got to sell those seats, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, Ian.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks very much for your time, and this was fun and very interesting. See you in Milano.
Oh, definitely. Bene grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.